When I'm working with my clients on their retirement plan, one of the things that we talk about is the tax challenges that they're going to face in retirement. And usually people have heard of some of these challenges, but not all of these challenges. And so I felt like it was important to talk about them today, just so that you are aware of the tax challenges that you should be thinking about as you're planning for your retirement. Now, tax planning needs to be an integral part of your overall plan. Your tax plan has to fit in with your income plan, your investment plan, your wealth management plan, your risk plan, your estate plan. It all needs to work together in order to have the best outcome for you and your family. And one of the things that happens is you retire, you're paying tax on a big income, and you suddenly are in a much lower tax bracket. And it can feel very good, but it is deceptive because facing you, ahead of you, are these tax challenges, including future required minimum distributions. So let's talk about what these 6 tax challenges are. The first is the tax spikes that can occur from your required minimum distributions. And on this chart, I'm showing just how much those required minimum distributions can grow. If you have an IRA worth either $1 million or $2 million or $4 million or any other multiple of these numbers, and you just wait to take the required minimum distribution at age 73, and you only take the required minimum distribution, never more than that, then if the IRA is earning just 6%, over time, those required minimum distributions are going to get to be bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Not only that, you're going to have a much bigger balance remaining within the IRA. So that creates one of those tax challenges, having your taxable income go into a much higher bracket, even though you don't really want or need that income from the IRA. So then you're left with this next challenge, which is, well, should I go ahead and pay some tax now to get a tax break later? Or should I take a tax break now and pay some tax later? And that is different for everybody. You've got to do some projections and some planning to know which is really going to be the best for you in your situation. One of the issues that we're facing is the fact that our tax brackets are going to be going back up very soon. We are now in September of 2024, and the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will expire at the end of December of 2025. So we have a year and 3 months remaining in the current tax brackets. When we reach the end of 2025, that following year, we're going to go back to what tax rates used to be. And you can see on the chart that that's going to be anywhere from a 2 to 4% increase in the tax rate in most of these brackets. The thing that this chart doesn't show is that they've also adjusted when the brackets start. And so that's going to have some impact on what your tax rate is as well. Another challenge is the healthcare costs, and this is a hidden tax. We call this income-related monthly adjustment amount, or IRMA for short. And if your income hits certain levels, then you're in a new IRMA bracket. And when you hit that new IRMA bracket, if you go just $1 over, then you pay a higher medical premium for your Part D Medicare and your Part B Medicare. And you can see those on the chart here, and it goes up to be a very large amount per person. And so if you're a couple, you would each have this increase if your income has pushed you into that IRMA bracket. So that is another challenge that you're going to have to monitor and watch. On top of that, we have the widow's tax. And a lot of people haven't thought about this. It's not something that's talked about very much. But if you're married and you're filing taxes jointly, then your tax rate is much lower than the taxes will be for the widow. Looking at this chart, we can see that if you had, let's say, $100,000 of income and you're married filing jointly, you would pay 12, you'd be in the 12% bracket for most of that. That second column shows that you're in the 12% bracket until you reach $94,300 of income. So the other $6,000 roughly that gets you to $100,000 of taxable income would be in the 22% bracket. When the first person passes away, the survivor is now going to be filing as a single person. So that's that first column. And what we see is that when that person hits $47,000 of income, they're going to hit the end of their 12% bracket. So beyond $47,000 of income, they're going to be paying 22%. So they're going to start paying 22% at less than half of that 100,000. You know, more than half of that 100,000 is going to be pushed up into the 22% bracket just because they're now filing as a single filer. And we call this the widow's tax. It can really take a widow by surprise that their taxes have gone up so much on the exact same income that they had before as a couple. And then there's the tax for your children. And there have been a lot of changes in how IRAs, tax-deferred accounts are treated as they're passed to heirs. It used to be under the old law that you could stretch that IRA over their lifetime. So your child would inherit the IRA from you. They could stretch that out over their remaining life expectancy, so pay the taxes over a 20 or 30 or 40-year period of time. With the passage of the Secure Act in 2019 and the Secure Act 2.0, that is now a 10-year period of time. That's the maximum deferral period allowed for your child or grandchild, unless they're disabled, and hopefully they're not disabled. But that means that they're going to be forced to distribute that out over that 10-year period of time, and it could end up being on top of some high income earning years. It could be a very inconvenient time to have to distribute that, and it significantly increases the tax that your heirs will pay. And so that needs to be considered in your overall tax plan. I've got this note here that I want to point out that when this rule was put in place, the Joint Committee on Taxation back in December 2019 estimated that this change would bring in an additional $15.7 billion from 2020 through 2029 just by compressing the distribution of the IRAs, instead of it being a lifetime stretch to now being just a 10-year stretch. And so that's a lot of tax dollars coming in. We can see the motivation for this change in law, but that does impact your heirs, and it needs to be included in your plan. So when you're thinking about your wealth, the money that you've saved, and the tax that you're going to pay on it, you've got to think about the 4 different periods of time and what tax will be impacting your wealth in each of those periods of time. While you're working, when you're retired jointly as a married couple, when one or the other of you is a widow or widower, and then when your children inherit it, and that period of time that they're settling up the taxes. That is the lifetime of your wealth. What can you do to minimize the taxes over the lifetime of your wealth? That will keep more for you and keep more for your family.